First of all, data for the sake of data is pointless. Apart from the fact that you might have some numbers for your reporting, it isn't driving action. So what you really, really, really need to do, and I've been pretty strong on this, because from a KC perspective, we just want as much as possible. We want as many suppliers to put as much stuff into EcoVadis as possible, but it's not manageable. Then we've just got a whole pile of data and we're not doing anything with it. So having a select number of suppliers, we started with 200. They are our top 65% spend. They are our top 50% emissions. So that's quite a nice position. Only 200 suppliers, top 50. That means we've got a horrible tail end, but never mind. And also, most of them were quite strategic suppliers as well. So having that focus with them, and then those connections with them as well. So again, you can't do it without talking to your suppliers, without understanding their journey. If we're thinking about KPIs, we have both internal and external KPIs that we measure ourselves against. So our internal ones are very much, do we have the right number of suppliers in EcoVadis? Have they got good corrective actions? Do we have action plans with some of the key strategic suppliers that we're working with? Are we seeing improvement in carbon maturity year on year? Whatever suits you. I think that's the key thing. I could share what ours are, and we've got plenty, but you need to think about what's really important to your organization. And then we have supplier KPIs as well. So that, again, procurement are really, really, really busy. So what I wanted to do was not give them more work, but try and integrate it into work that they already have. So every good procurement person has a scorecard with a supply. And in that scorecard is the usual triangle of cost, quality, and service. So all we're doing is saying, get sustainability in there as well. I've drawn up some metrics that they can use. They can change them. They don't have to have those ones, but to try and give them a start point, build that confidence, build that ability to have that discussion with that supplier. And so those KPIs allow us to track monthly how we're doing, not necessarily on the Scope 3 number, but on the activities that are going to glide path us up to that Scope 3 number. Because it's very hard every month to go, how am I doing on Scope 3 this month? How am I doing on Scope 3 that month? But if you've got your glide path and your key activities that are drawing you up there, then that's how you measure your progress going forwards.
So, Anne-Laure, what are the key activities? So are you cascading science-based targets down your supply chain?
So we have different discussions with suppliers depending where they are on their journey. So we've been quite lucky. The top 200 suppliers, most of them are in EcoVadis. Most of them have got SBT targets or some sort of externally committed target. And most of them have got a really nice glide path to get there. So part of our work was trying to understand what that means for our Scope 3, where we've got a gap, and then have that discussion with them. If you've got less mature suppliers, you can't just tell them to do to have SBT targets straight away. They're nowhere there. So we developed quite a nice thing with EcoVadis. I was told it was a first of a kind. I don't know if it was, but we worked quite hard on it with the onboarding team. So we did, because there's 1,000 corrective actions that your suppliers can have in EcoVadis, and I'm not a supporter of let's just tick all of them and hope they do them, because they're never going to do them. It's impossible. So we developed a progression matrix, let's call it that, where depending if your supplier is beginner, intermediate, advanced, wherever they are, we decided what the next corrective action should be in order to get them to the next step. So if you've got a beginner supplier and they're doing nothing, well, the first one is please start measuring your Scope 1 and 2. If you've got a supplier that's already doing that, well, actually, then could you please start reporting that, share those metrics with us. If they're doing that, okay, well, let's talk about now SBT targets or Scope 3, whatever the next step is. And it's brilliant because it's also a crib sheet to give to procurement. The procurement can go, there's 1,000 corrective actions that my supplier could do. Here's a really good one. I've got this nice crib sheet. They're there. I'm going to talk to them about that one. And they are having proactive, specific discussions with each of their suppliers saying, right, this is your next step. This is what you should be doing. And we piloted, actually, it's a one-page addendum on a contract. I think it was Claire from Sage who said, don't overcomplicate your contracts. One-page addendum. It's got this nice progress chart that says, if you're here, stop, do this next one. And it's got the scorecard to get, the sustainability metrics to get incorporated into their scorecard. That's it to start with. Let's start with that. Let's see how we get on, and then we'll move